Today I'm going to be talking about the custom practices and environment in the workplace of Vietnam. In the article, What It's Like to Live and Work in Rural Vietnam, published on expatfocus.com, they explain how the environment is. So the environment is typically humid and muggy, and there's a lot of sun throughout the years, so it keeps it real moist and humid. It also talks about how the cost of living is pretty cheap, but that's because the wages are also really cheap. So most people around the rural areas are typically poor or lesser of the community. Some difficulties that they have throughout Vietnam, which does affect the workplace, is their electricity that goes throughout the city and the country. So most of the businesses that are in the rural community tend to be small shops, carts, and really small buildings that sell produce and livestock, like I said. In the rural cities, it tends to be the smaller shops, and then when you go into the city, it's more high-class businesses with larger buildings and like skyscrapers and stuff like that. In the article, Understanding Vietnamese Business Cultures, published on Vietnam's Culture's website, they talk about how the workplace in the higher class communities, it is very competitive. They want to win. They want to have a successful business. They also turn their work relationships into social relationships. Business only, they tend to go out to dinner, talk about what they like, and don't talk about work, and that creates their social relationship. When they create this social relationship, they believe that it helps them be more successful in their business. In the business place of a higher community, you wouldn't use Mr. or Miss. You would use their name in the business. So you would say like chairman, president, or director. It's a sign of respect in their culture, and that's just what they do in their workplace. When you give a business card, instead of just handing it to them, not caring which way it is, you tend to put both arms out, and you also tend to make sure it's facing forward to the guest or the customer, like so. In the Vietnamese culture, it's also very important when doing business to go out to dinner and have luncheons as well. During these luncheons and dinners, it's a good time to establish the good social relationship. During these dinners, they also do toasts, and in the toast, they keep them short and sweet, and they tend to talk about their success in the future as being business partners. When hosting these dinners and luncheons, it's important to make sure that your guests feel welcomed and well taken care of. And it's also important, if you are being the guest, the next time you host, it's important to reciprocate the same thing of the new guests feeling welcomed and well taken care of as well. Some of the practices in the workplace include punctuality. Vietnamese tend to be very punctual, however, they're not penalized or criticized for being 5 minutes late. But they are very punctual when it comes to business meetings, and they do tend to look very tense. As stated in the article, Cultural Literacy, Things You Should Know When Working with Vietnamese, published by Agile Vietnam. With them looking very tense in these meetings, it doesn't mean that they're upset or they're mad, it just means that they're focusing on what they're trying to get done and working on their business. Another thing that they tend to practice in the business place of Vietnam is they tend to step out of the office, they go out for lunch, and they have get-togethers and they focus on business, and that helps them with their teamwork and their collaboration throughout the workplace of their business. Something they also do instead of going out to dinner, they play sports together, they create activities, or they go out for some drinks, and that's how they also get this teamwork and collaboration flowing in their business. In Vietnam, working in the business, they feel like they have an obligation to respect someone who's older or has a higher position. Like I said before, when instead of saying sir or Mrs. or Mr., you say director, you say chairman, or you say president. It shows respect for your elders and someone who's in a higher position than you just because of their workplace. In Vietnam, when they go to a higher class business place, they tend to dress more casually than rather how we do here in America. It's not because they don't care about their work, it's just a more relaxed environment, even though it is a higher up workplace. But when they do go to businesses, meetings, and job interviews or weddings, they do dress up in a suit and tie. According to Vietnamese labor laws, in Vietnam, they have up to 12 days annually to have off paid. Some businesses have 20. But in Vietnam, they have 10 holiday days as well. So overall, in Vietnam, the environment tends to be harsh with the humid weather. Their culture tend to be respecting your elders, being punctual, and dressing casual on your daily business routine.